Stack you hard, fool.
Good evening, family. Welcome to Long with Firearms Training. I'm your host, Juan J. Johnson, coming to you live on this September 29th, 2024, a leap year. Looking forward to an amazing broadcast. Hoping that I am broadcasting. I have to make sure these social media platforms do not have me limited in my reach. So bear with me as I let folks know that I am on the air. Again, looking forward to having an amazing broadcast with you on tonight, family. We're going to discuss part two to God, Guns, and the Ballot or the Bullet, part two. Part two. We did not get a chance to finish it, so we're going to see if we can finish it on today. Again, looking forward to an amazing broadcast on tonight. If you are joining me later, please advise a friend, a family, wherever you're seeing this broadcast on your social media platforms. I need you to like it. I need you to share it. And I just need you to support the broadcast. Again, I know that Malcolm's birthday was on the 21st. It would have been his 59th birthday. Come next year in 65, it'll be his 60th birthday. But it is the 60th anniversary of the Ballot or the Bullet speech that he gave some 60 years ago. And we're going to drop that. We're going to play some of those excerpts again on today. Didn't get a chance to get through a lot of them on last week, but we're going to get through quite a few today. Hopefully I don't hold you too long. That's the goal, not to hold you too long, but nevertheless, if I hold you long, that's okay too, because again, we don't get a chance to have this conversation about Malcolm X, and we're going to have it on today. So again, looking forward to an amazing broadcast. I need you to go to lwftraining.com. That's lwftraining.com for your firearms need. If you need a HQL, if you need a wear and carry, if you need some firearms training, again, I need you to go to lwf.com. That's lwf.com for your firearms needs, family. If you just want a personal instructor to go with you to the range, I need you to go to lwftraining.com. That's lwftraining.com. If you want to, um, if you want to, if you have guns in your possession you no longer want, and you want to get rid of them, you don't have to go to the police. You can go to lwftraining.com. That's lwftraining.com, and we will do the paperwork and transfer those guns from you to the company for educational purposes. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Um, if you need your renewals on your guns, if you have a wear carry or concealed carry that needs to be renewed, again, go to the website. If you have an HQL and it needs to be renewed, go to the website. If you're just interested in the basic fundamentals of shooting and you want to learn how to just shoot, be accurate, um, go to lwftraining.com. And again, we will train, get you situated for these streets, for your homes, your houses, wherever you live, your dwellings, your RVs, your apartments. Doesn't make a difference. We will get you situated. So again, this family is God Guns and the Ballot with a Bullet Part 2. Again, I make no apologies. I am a God and Guns guy. I can't see God without guns, and I can't see guns without God. And when I say guns, I'm talking about something far deeper than just the gun that you purchase from the store, whether it's a shotgun or a handgun, whether it's a semi-automatic revolver, semi-automatic handgun, or a rifle. No, I'm talking about weapons, family. I'm talking about weapons. I'm talking about weapons used to defend, protect the homeland. That's what I'm talking about. So when I say God, guns, I'm saying something far deeper than what you think it is. But I think that that discussion needs to be had because we're not having that discussion enough about God and guns. Um, but I'm not going to delay no more. I'm going to get back into. I'm going to get to this topic. I'm getting to this topic about Malcolm X. Again, Malcolm's birthday was on February 21st. February 21st. Uh, and there was not too many people, if any, had anything to say about Malcolm X. And I took that personal because I believe that, Malcolm is a part of the fabric of this country that we're in, of this nation that we're in. And I believe that many of us family, uh, we have in the Black American experience, in the Black American community, I'm seeing that we have substituted our history, our experience for just the history of this country. And the history of this country and the experience is two different things. There's two different things. Yes, we are heavily woven in the fabric of this nation with the okay, but we've had a whole different experience, a whole different experience. And it's my goal today, again, uh, to make some comparisons between 1964 and 2024. Again, I'm hoping not to be for you long, but I do plan on playing some Malcolm X, because I think he can say it better in his own words. Um, and I'm looking forward to sharing multiple speeches. Uh, we will be discussing, we will be hearing the message to the grassroots. That's one speech you will hear, message to the grassroots. You'll also hear a message from Prospects for Freedom. That's Prospects for Freedom, another Malcolm X classic. You will also be hearing the Ballot or the Bullet, just certain excerpts from the speeches of Malcolm X, because I think that, again, unbeknownst to many of us, this is a ballot or bullet year, family. Let me say this again. This is a ballot or bullet year. I think the elephant in the room when you're talking about ballot or bullet, the elephant in the room, family, is basically um, the state of this nation. the state of this nation is heavily divided, right? And we are in a ballot voting year. Okay. We're in a ballot voting year, family. And one half of the nation believes that the election was stolen. And another half of the nation believes that um, that the that their that certain supporters are extremists, and that definition of extremists has basically uh, come from the top. It's come from the top, family. What do you mean come from the top? We have a sitting president, Joe Biden, a sitting president who basically called out at least a third of the country. Okay. In the Hill newspaper, September 1st, 2022 edition says, Biden says Trump influence among Republicans is a threat to the nation. Said he's a threat to the nation, not just a threat, him and his supporters. CBC News, Biden calls Trump and MAGA Republicans a threat to America. Okay. What's this? Al Jazeera's, Biden attacks Trump as threat to democracy. January 6, 2024. Biden attacks Trump as threat to democracy. Okay. The Wall Street Journal, President Biden calls MAGA a threat to the U.S. Okay. Just citing sources. The Guardian, Biden attacks Trump as grave threat to democracy. Okay. CNN, September 2nd, 2022. Biden ramps up against Trump's threat to democracy. So on the Biden side, they're saying that Trump is a threat and his supporters are a threat to democracy, right? So on the Trump side, they believe that the election was stolen. CNN, Trump lies that Senate Democrats stole the election. The Atlantic says Trump supporters explain why they believe the big lie. Okay. The Los Angeles Times says Trump falsely accuses Democrats of election fraud. CBS News says Trump falsely claims Democrats are trying to steal the election. That's in 2020. And so what's that? The Hill, Trump claims Democrats using COVID to steal an election. So we have one half of the country believing that the election was stolen. The other half of the country believe that one man is a threat to the democracy, to the nation, right? Again, this is about God, guns, and the battle of the bullet. And the elephant in the room is this. Both Democrats and Republicans have guns. Say this again. Both Democrats and the Republicans have guns, family. White and black, male and female, they have guns. And on both sides of the aisle, in these streets, in these counties, in these suburbs, in these cities, both sides are willing to go to war. And we're not having that discussion. We are seeing the anger, right? We're hearing the disdain, the disenfranchisement on both sides. But nobody's talking about these people, these Americans have drawn a line in the sand and they are willing to go to war like the Civil War in 1861. This is 2024. But the Civil War took place in 1861. Now, the Civil War took place because of what? Some would tell you that they was trying to keep the Union together. Some would tell you it was slavery, you know. But if you do your history, you will know that the cause of that Civil War was about slavery. Okay? It was about economics, the economics of slavery. Okay? So it was Black folks in the middle of white rage. Let's keep it 100. Nobody wants to talk about the white rage. And I would say now the Black rage. And I would say the Asian rage. And I'm going to say the Latino rage. And I'm going to say all the ethnicity rages right now. Because right now, people want you, correction, Americans want you to choose a side. Just like COVID. When COVID was dropped, whose side are you on? Did you get the shot or didn't you get the shot? Did you get Modero or didn't you get Modero? Did you get the Pfizer or didn't you get the Pfizer? Did you get the Johnson & Johnson or didn't you get it? Okay? And I remember 2020 like it was yesterday. How people drew a line in the sand against their own family and their friends because of a shot, because of the jab. I remember it like it was yesterday. I don't suffer from cognitive dissonance. I got a long memory. And I remember like it was yesterday. I witnessed family members cut off other family members because they didn't get the jab. I saw family members or friends cut off friends because somebody didn't get the jab. I mean, they was literally ending friendships, decades of friendship. Many good people died in their homes alone because of the propaganda that was coming from our radio stations and our television stations and our social media platforms 24 hours a day, every day. And people had drew a line in the sand about, are you with the shot or are you against the shot? You can't come to my house, can't see my children. Fast forward now, we're in 2024. Nobody even discusses the jab. Like it just disappeared. But folks are sick and nobody's talking about it. A lot of people are dying in silence because they were so boisterous about that whole jab piece. Okay. So why am I bringing that up? Because now we're in Watch this. 2020 was a leap year. Mhm. 2024 is a leap year. Okay? Okay? What's up, Sister Star? It was a leap year. It was a year of change, right? So here we are, another leap year. And guess what? Some major decisions are about to be made. What do you mean by major decisions about to be made? Well, I tell you what. I tell you what. In 1964, right? That leap year, I'm just going to just run down a couple of events took place in 64, that maybe we didn't pay attention to, you know. So just going to run down some events. You can always pull this up if you want to. Okay. The 1964 Civil Rights Bill was passed. Malcolm X, the ballot or the bullet, famous message was spoken. We had the war in Vietnam had just taken off. Huh? I mean, there was 1964 was a very interesting year, family. Very interesting year. So what's going on this year in 60? What's going on in 2024? We got a whole migrant crisis right now. We got a whole migrant crisis right now in 2024. What do you mean by crisis? That they're at the borders, right? They're swarming the borders. And not just swarming, they're being bused to different locations throughout our nation. Some are going to Atlanta. Some are going to Detroit. Some are going to LA. Some are going to Chicago. Some are going to New York. And guess what? They're not just going, they're being taken care of. Watch this. Watch this. City officials paid at least 100. I got to put this on the screen. You got to see this. I got the head. You got to see this to believe this. I want you to see this. Okay? Watch this. This is just in Chicago. City officials paid at least $138 million to house, feed, and care for men, women, and children sent to Chicago from the southern border, according to the data published by Mayor Brandon Johnson. Say it again. City officials have paid at least $138 million to house and feed and care for the migrants. Let's not stop right there. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this. Let's go here. Reporting from the state capital of Albany, New York, Governor Kathy Hochul on Tuesday unveiled $233 billion budget for New York State that includes $2.4 billion to help New York City manage the migrant. $2.4 billion to help New York City manage its migrants. And we got people right now talking about they can't give Black Americans, the descendants of slaves, the children of chattel slavery, that you can't give us reparations. But we don't just have just a migrant crisis going on. We got multiple wars that we're funding. Israeli war against Hamas, Ukraine against Russia, okay? And they're being funded in the billions, in the billions, family. But there is no money for the children of chattel slavery, but yet they demand loyalty. Both parties want loyalty about Trump and about Biden. How do you demand loyalty from the children of chattel slavery, right? Whose ancestors' blood is in the soil of this ground, right? How do you demand loyalty at the same time you are funding people, migrants who have no blood in this soil? But you want loyalty because of a Biden and a Trump presidency? I think not. I ain't forgot. How do you Americans demand loyalty from the most loyal constituent in this nation, which is Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slaves or American descendants of enslaved, colored, Negro? How do you demand loyalty from us about a migrant issue when you won't even cut a check for those of us who've been here since the foundation of this country? And I mean that. I mean that. Talk to me. Come on. How? By your own records. 1619 was the first slave ship to come to these shores. Said 40 slaves came off the ship, right? By 1640, you had laws on the book that says that now a colored, Negro, mulatto could not own, could not carry, could not have a gun, a weapon, a knife in their possession. And that law was encoded. That law was encoded in the code. When I say the code, in the laws from 1640 up until 1865, the end of the Civil War. There was some exceptions made during the Revolutionary War, where blacks was able to fight with the agreement that if they fought, they would be free. And America did not keep their promise. So again, we're at 2024. We're at the ballot and the bullet again, because again, we have our white brother who sees blood in the water, who's angry. The Trumpsters are mad at the Biden. The Trumpsters are mad at the Biden sexuals. Let's keep it 100. In these streets, they call Biden Brandon, depending on what area you're in. What city you in, they say Biden sexuals. And then the Trumpsters, the MAGAs. If the president of the president of the United States is telling the nation that Trump and his supporters are a threat to democracy, and Trump and his supporters believe that an election was stolen, that is a recipe for a powder keg, which eventually will explode. We are at the precipice of a civil war, family. Your preachers ain't saying nothing to you. Your civil rights leaders ain't saying nothing to you. Your politicians are not saying nothing to you. So I guess the average man the common man, is going to have to speak to you. Because this is what I believe. For evil to triumph, good men must remain silent. And when I see this storm on the horizon, and I've been telling you for the last 10 years to arm yourselves. In the last 5 years, since 2018, I've been training you in firearms. And you're still not listening. You still don't get it. That's why I'm going to play this Malcolm X. This message to the grassroots first. And I'm going to chase it with the ballot or the bullet. Because what he said 60 years ago is as relevant yesterday as it is today. And Malcolm has been gone now for quite some time. So look, then we go and cue up the speeches, and you're going to hear some Malcolm X. And you're going to enjoy this message. And you're going to see what I'm saying. Okay? So look, then we present to some and introduce to others a voice of reason. A voice is so clear, it's like drinking clear water. It's like going to a beach, to your favorite island and seeing some clear water. Malcolm is preaching clear right now. Let's hear some Malcolm X.
Between you and me, us. We want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand. We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is us. We're her problem. The only reason she has a problem is she doesn't want us here. And every time you look at yourself, be you black, brown, red, or yellow, a so-called Negro, you represent a person who poses such a serious problem for America because you're not one. Once you face this as a fact, then you can start plotting a course that will make you appear intelligent instead of unintelligent.
Let me stop right there. Let me stop right there. Malcolm said America has a problem. And that problem has always been Black Americans, the Negro, colored, foundational Black Americans, American descendant of the enslaved. Once you understand that the reason why they can pass all these bills and not give you nothing, not give us nothing, because we've always been the problem. Like I said before I played Malcolm, America demands loyalty from Black Americans without giving us nothing. They've been practicing benign neglect policies against us. Oh my God. For decades. But at the same time, like I just showed you, they're giving up $2.3 billion in New York for the migrants, $138 million in Chicago. And Black Americans are getting nothing. Correction, we're getting evicted. We're getting displaced. Okay? We're losing homes. Okay? Y'all don't see this? Look at what's going on in Chicago right now. Chicago is a mess. Look at what's going on inside New York right now. New York is a mess. And they finding money for the wars. But that one problem that they know still exists, they ignore. I digress. Back to Malcolm.
To do is learn to forget our differences. When we come together, we don't come together as Baptists or Methodists. You don't catch hell because you're a Baptist, and you don't catch hell because you're a Methodist. You don't catch hell because you're a Methodist or a Baptist. You don't catch hell because you're a Democrat or a Republican. You don't catch hell because you're a Mason or an elk. And you sure don't catch hell because you're an American, because if you was an American, you wouldn't catch no hell. You catch hell because you're a black man. You catch hell, all of us catch hell for the same reason. So we are all black people, so-called Negroes, second-class citizens, ex-slaves. You are nothing but an ex-slave. You don't like to be told that. But what else are you? You are ex-slave. You didn't come here on the Mayflower. You came here in a slave ship, in chains, like a horse or a cow or a chicken. And you were brought here by the people who came here on the Mayflower. You were brought here by the so-called pilgrims or founding fathers. They were the ones who brought you here. We have a common enemy. We have this in common. We have a common oppressor, a common exploiter, and a common discriminator. So once we all realize that we have this common enemy, then we unite on the basis of what we have in common. And what we have foremost in common is that enemy, the white man. He's an enemy to all of us. I know some of you all think that some of them aren't enemies. Time will tell. In Bandung, back in, I think, 1954.
Let me stop right there. Let me stop right there. I know. The term enemy is a hard word to swallow because some of us believe we don't have no enemies. I know it's a hard word to swallow. And I'll tell you right now, anytime you're in war, when you're in war with anything, anybody, there's a good, there's a bad side. There's enemies. And most of us are afraid to call folks out for whatever reason. We've been taught, to love everybody except for ourselves. At least with Malcolm, he knew he was in a war. And watch this. Black Americans need to ask this question. If we continue to get neglected and watch people get the resources, because politics is about resources, family. Resources. If we're continuing not to get resources, how do we keep embracing politicians who are not providing resources to our children and our families, but you feed somebody else somewhere else? How do they convince themselves that we deserve nothing and people who come here illegally deserve everything? Who are they treating as the enemy? Huh? Who is the government treating as, and not just the government, because I cannot let the people off the hook. The citizens. The citizens. How do you, my American white brother, my American Asian brother, my American Caribbean brother, my American Russian brother, my American Latino brother, my American African brother, anybody who claims to be an American, right? Whether you was born here or you came here through the visa process, and you see the mistreatment of Black Americans, and you see how others are getting all the funding, all the resources. Wouldn't you draw a conclusion that possibly that the people who are denying my children, myself, my family, my community, the right to the resources, that you're treating them as enemies? Think about that for a second. You lit the government, our politicians, especially among the Black collective, they're going out their way to pass legislation and bills to fund people who have no blood in the soil. At the same time, they are watching my people, their people from their collective, starve. That's a problem. That's a problem, family. That's a problem. But we're gonna find a solution. We're gonna find a solution. Okay? Let me keep playing some of this, Malcolm.
Was the first unity meeting in centuries of black people. And once you study what happened at the Bandung Conference, and the result is that the one thing that all of them had in common, they were all from Europe. They were all Europe. Sit down and talk shop with each other. I would like to make a few comments concerning the difference between the Black Revolution and the Negro Revolution. There's a difference. Are they both the same? And if they're not, what is the difference? What is the difference between a Black Revolution and a Negro Revolution? First, what is the revolution? Sometimes I'm inclined to believe that many of our people are using this word revolution loosely, without taking careful consideration what this word actually means and what its historic characteristics are. When you study the historic nature of revolutions, the motive of a revolution, the objective of a revolution, and the result of a revolution, and the methods used in a revolution, you may change words. You may devise another program. You may change your goal and you may change your mind. Look at the American Revolution in 1776. That revolution was for what? For land. How was it? Why did they want land? Independence. How was it carried out? Bloodshed. Number one, it was based on land. The basis of independence. And the only way they could get it was bloodshed. The French Revolution, what was it based on? The landless against the landlord. What was it for? Land. How did they get it? Bloodshed. Was no love lost. Was no compromise. Was no negotiation. I'm telling you, you don't know what our revolution is. Because when you find out what it is, you'll get back in the alley. You'll get out of the way. Come on. The Russian Revolution. What was it based on? Land. The landless against the landlord. How did they bring it about? Bloodshed. You haven't got a revolution that doesn't involve bloodshed. And you're afraid to bleed. I said you're afraid to bleed. As long as the white man sent you to Korea, you bled. He sent you to Germany, you bled. He sent you to the South Pacific to fight the Japanese, you bled. You bleed for white people. But when it comes time to seeing your own churches being bombed and little black girls murdered, you haven't got no blood.
That was a very important point. 1963 was the bombing at the 16th Street Baptist Church. Okay, that's 1964 right there. His speech. Again, fast forward to 2024. If you look at the wars that's taking place right now in Russia, Ukraine, it's like a revolution. It's for the land. Like you said, you don't have a revolution without bloodshed. If you look at the war that's going on in Israel and Hamas, it's about land. You don't have a revolution without bloodshed. Where am I going with this? I'm going somewhere with this. If you look at the Civil War, the ideological civil war is taking place right now in America, the land is already here, but they are willing to go to war for the future of this country because of an ideology. This is more civil war, but they're willing to shed blood. Are you paying attention to what's going on out here in these streets? Are you hearing the venom on these airways? Are you hearing the disdain, the disgust for American citizens? Aren't you seeing the great divide that's taking place between white Americans who are conservatives, white Americans who are liberals, and they're asking Black America, what side are you on? Right? And I've had time to think about this. I've really had time to think about this. And the carrot that's being used on us right now is, well, don't you see the others coming across the border to take our jobs? Well, I see the others coming across the border to take some jobs, but I also see this government funding them and still expecting loyalty from us. That ain't cool. How is it so easy for New York to cut a $2.3 billion for the migrants? Chicago giving up $138 million for the migrants, and Black Americans they can't peel off no reparations. Somebody answer that question for me. Answer that question for me, please. Okay? And look, I know he talked about bloodshed and enemies. I'm not afraid of bloodshed. I did it. Look at the screen. I'm a firearm instructor. I teach people how to stop the threat. I'm retired police. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. You're not just listening to somebody who just sitting here just spouting to hear himself talk. I really don't want to do this. I really, really, really don't want to have to say this. But I can't sit by and watch cowardly people hide from the situation that we're in, or they deliberately not talk about what's going on. See, I live by this is my core value right here. That the proof of love is the willingness to protect. Say this again. That the proof of love is the willingness to protect. If I'm not willing to protect you, that means I don't love you. And I've seen too many people in leadership practice benign neglect policies against Black Americans, but they demand our loyalty. Benign neglect is basically ignore them, not just one of them, ignore the whole collective. Meaning, We need all the politicians, all the preachers, all the businessmen. We need you to ignore that whole collective. And then when the others come into America, you need to ignore them too. Treat them like they are invisible. I got some bad news for you. I am not invisible, and neither are the 46 million Black Americans who demand reparations. Now, I'm not going to sit around and wait for it. But as I see the funds being distributed to people with no blood in the soil, that hasn't even fought for in none of the wars. Don't you know that the only reason why I am here today, because somebody survived the worst Holocaust in the history of the world and continues to survive? Let me say this again. The only reason why I am here today is my ancestors survived the worst Holocaust in the history of the world, in the history of colonialism. Okay? We talk about genocide. We talk about slavery. We talk about the black codes. We're talking about Jim Crow. We're talking about civil rights. And we talk about now unprovoked attacks upon Black people. And I'm here today, like millions of others. We're here as survivors. We're the most ancient people in the world according to colonialism. Say this again. What makes us so special? Because we're the most ancient people in the world in the era of colonialism. And this is why we demand not civil rights, but as Malcolm would say, human rights. We demand the reparations. And you cannot expect us to be loyal to the country when we see you giving goodies, passing legislations to everybody but Black Americans. That's not cool. It's not cool. It's not right. It's not cool. So with that said, let me play you another excerpt of Malcolm.
Well, we could come out here discussing religion. We have too many.
Where's my turn my Bluetooth on. Okay. Bear with me, family. Just trying to key up my
Your phone is connected.
Keying up my Bluetooth. All right, let's hear some Malcolm. This one is the Ballot or the Bullet. This is the Ballot or the Bullet.
This is from the outstart, and we could never get together. So today, though Islam is my religious philosophy, my political, economic, and social philosophy is Black nationalism. You and I, as I say, if we bring up religion, we'll have differences, we'll have arguments, we'll never be able to get together. But if we keep our religion at home, keep our religion in the closet, keep our religion between ourselves and our God, but when we come out here, we have a fight that's common to all of us against the enemy who is common to all of us. The political philosophy of black nationalism only means that the black man should control the politics and the politicians in his own community. The, the time when white people can come in our community and get us to vote for them so that they can be our political leaders and tell us what to do and what not to do is long gone. By the same token, the time when that same white man, knowing that your eyes are too far open, can send another Negro into the community, get you and me to support him so he can use him to lead us astray, those days are long gone. The political philosophy of black nationalism only means that if you and I are going to live in a black community, and that's where we're going to live, as soon as you move into one of their, as soon as you move out of the black community into their community, it's mixed for a period of time, but they're gone, and you're right there all by yourself. We must understand the politics of our community. We must know what politics is supposed to produce. We must know what part politics play in our lives. And until we become politically mature, we will always be misled, led astray, or deceived, or maneuvered into supporting someone politically who doesn't have the good of our community at heart. So the political philosophy of black nationalism only means that we will have to carry on a program, a political program of re-education to open our people's eyes, make us become more politically conscious, politically mature. And then we will, whenever we get ready to cast our ballot, that ballot will be cast for a man of the community who has the good of the community at heart. And
Let me stop right there. So that was 60 years ago, right? And Malcolm pushed that black nationalism piece, right? Let's fast forward to the 21st century. Let's fast forward to the 21st, 2024. That's 60 years ago, right? We've called black nationalism now African American culture. We've called it now foundational Black American culture. We call it now ADOS, American descendant of slave or enslaved. We call it now colored. We call it now Negro. It's very specific. He didn't say people of color. Okay? Be very clear. Let's be very, very clear. And watch this now. Because when the people of color do come here, they get the resources, they get the benefits. While who? Black Americans are left looking like what? Begging. Malcolm was very clear. And we should be too, very clear. I can't, in good faith, sit on the sidelines. But I'm not on the sidelines, I'm in the game. I can't, in good faith, right, continue to watch others get the resources. And we're told to support every cause, every war, every sanctuary city, every DACA, every migrant bill, that we need to just jump on board and just forsake my own collective. That's what I call Black group economic suicide. Say this again. That is called Black group economic suicide. When you watch somebody else receive something that you should be getting, or when you're supporting people that look nothing like you. And we've been practicing this for decades now, almost a century, A century is 100 years. So 1920 to 2020 is 100 years, right? We started selling our communities in the 20s just to integrate. Say this again. We started selling our communities outside of the Black Wall Streets that was burnt down and the other Oklahoma's, Tulsa, and nationwide. We had, you know, the country burning down successful Black communities. But in the 20s, that's when you start seeing we, Black Americans, sell our communities to others. And we haven't rebounded since. Everywhere you look, you're seeing somebody that don't look like you that's running your stores in your community. And I ain't forget. I have not forget. In 2020, or was it 2019, when there was a coordinated strike nationwide from California to Maine. There was a coordinated strike from the Latino community and the Asian community got together and they shut down their stores. Y'all don't remember that? Y'all forget that? I didn't forget that. They shut down their carryouts. They shut down their clothing stores. They shut down the dry cleaner stores. It was a coordinated strike. Y'all forget that? Because I ain't forget. If I didn't know then what I know now, I would say that really crystallized why we need to have our own. Okay? But don't get it twisted now. I'm still gonna stay with this ballot or bullet piece. This is just some historical context. Okay? Because Black Americans have a decision to make. Because I believe in this leap year, which was a leap year in 1964, which is a leap year now, that a Civil War powder keg is brewing. And when it happens, between now and 1965, because Malcolm was calling for the ballot or the bullet, she spoke this in 64. Looking ahead to 1965. And we're on the same trajectory of a bloody America. Because family, again, those folks who are crossing over the border, right? We don't know who they are. They're coming, they've been told to toss their passports. The passports were just used to get them here. When they get to the site where they need to be identified, they have discarded their passports. So we don't know who's coming in here. But what we do see is men aged for war, men who you recruit for some type of war, some type of military. And they've already said, they've already given out a list of all the folks who's coming in and what areas they're coming from. Not just Hispanics, Iranians, Chinese, Africans. I mean, they're coming from everywhere. Again, this is the year. It's looking like this could be the year going into 2025 of the ballot or the bullet. And if you haven't heard this tape, this audio tape, which is like 60 years old, I think you need to pull it out. I think that you need to listen to it and you will see the similarities. You will see the similarities where we are. I know there's a late response to what Gerald has said. Gerald said, yes, that's the main point right there. And while we as a collective won't receive reparations, we are at war, and the press don't hand out money to those they don't respect. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. Look here. And still see as commodity. Yes, they do. And he said if they did it, would even the it would even the playing field. And we all know what happens when the field is even, we rise. I don't disagree with you on nothing you said. I don't. I don't. Look, there's 3 types of abuse, family. You got verbal abuse, when you know somebody gonna cuss you out. You got physical abuse, when you know somebody's gonna hit you. But then you get that one that's silent, that's worse than the verbal and the physical. And that's neglect. Neglect is abuse. Because neglect asks the question, why? Why? It is neglect asks the question, why? What did I do? Why are you treating me this way? Why are you avoiding me? See, Black Americans had all 3. We've had the verbal abuse coming through slavery, coming through the black codes, coming through Jim Crow, with the physical abuse. Okay. And we've had also the neglect, meaning we're not doing nothing for you at all. You cannot continue to neglect the people and it don't be no repercussions. A child who's neglected from her parents eventually will grow up to despise that parent. Come on. Let's keep it to 100. America, the politicians, and the preachers cannot continue to neglect Black Americans without there being a consequence. And what's the consequence? We just shut down. We won't do nothing. We'll watch this whole place burn. Do I want it to burn? No, because I'm here. I don't want this place to burn because I'm here. It affects my children too. But you can't keep demanding loyalty, honor, duty, and then you give the resources to somebody else who don't deserve it. Come on, man. Come on. Sure said our folks are too complacent. They're like happy slaves. Keyword, act. They're acting. I just want to just plant a seed. I want you to think different, right? The goal of this program is to get you to think different. Because if everybody's saying the same thing, then who's thinking? Say this again. If everybody is saying the same thing, then who is thinking? I'm not saying what others are saying. I see the Trojan horse at the borders. I see the soldiers. I'm a soldier. Must I remind you, I did almost 30 years in law enforcement. There's some things I see that you can't see. There's some things I know that you don't know. Okay? And I'm seeing a Trojan horse coming through the borders. And I'm seeing that this country is demanding something from us that it won't give us. Cut the check. Stop trying to psychoanalyze Black Americans and just cut the check. It is not your business what we do with the resources. It is not your business to monitor each and every one of us to talk about, well, if they get the money, they're going to spend it. You don't monitor the money when you've given it on. You haven't monitored the Indian reservation money you've given out, those billions that you give to the Indians. You don't monitor when you give money to the Jews, the Holocaust victims. You don't monitor money when you give it to the victims of the Japanese concentration camps that was in America. You don't monitor money when you issued out those billions to those folks in the Ukraine war. Come on. So don't act like you got to monitor the money for Black Americans. Just cut the check. Cut the check. If you can give, like I said, like I showed you, if they can give 38 billion, if they can give 138 million for Chicago, right? And if they can give 2.4 billion in New York, and you can give billions for a war, they can just print money at their own discretion. As a matter of fact, so people talking about paying taxes. Okay, so yes, we do pay taxes, right? But the real question is this: we're paying taxes, but why don't you just print the money that you print for everybody else? We're already $34 trillion in debt. You're just printing money because you can print money. This don't have nothing about paying black American has nothing to do with the taxes because you're just printing money, America. America is just printing money. Money she doesn't have. But we'll find a reason not to give to Black Americans because they immediately say we don't have the money. But you just found 2.3 billion in New York for the migrants. You found 138 million in Chicago. And these folks haven't even been here a year. And we've been here at least 400 years. 1619 to 2019 was 400 years according to your records. I'm going to stop right there. Family, this is the year of the ballot or the bullet. This is a leap year. Just like in 1964, it was a leap year. There was a war in Vietnam that we was funding. Now there's a war in the Ukraine that we're funding. We had the Civil Rights Bill that was passed in 64. Now we got all these bills being passed for the immigrants. Okay. Even down to the gun bills. They're trying to restrict guns for being in the hands of law-abiding citizens. I say to you, this is a very dangerous year. And just because the politicians and just because your preachers and just because your elderly parents won't say nothing because they're committed to a certain party or personality, it doesn't change the fact that we're in some dangerous times. And I need to make you aware moving forward. I need you to become responsible gun owners and gun users today. I need to let you know that there are folks who are ready. Watch this. Watch this. America has at least 330 million Americans on paper, on record, legally, right? Supposedly to be 46 million Black Americans. Now the Hispanics, they're like maybe 50 million now. Okay. and that doesn't include the illegals. Then you have probably 235 to 40 million white Americans who classify themselves as white. So that's about 330 million, right? But for real, all America needs to see is 7 million angry, armed white Americans willing to just go for broke. And that will change everything. You don't even need half of America. All you need is 7 million who just don't care. And trust me when I tell you, there's at least 7 million Americans, white, black, Asian, Latino, African, out of Pacific. You've got about 7 million who's armed, who's ready to go. And you need to be aware of that. Okay? I'm going to bring this to an end. I need you to subscribe to this channel on whatever platform you see it on. I need you to like or dislike the video. I need you to share it. I also need you to, if you can, if you want to support. Don't hurt you to support at all. Again, go to lwftraining.com if you need firearms training. You know, I really want us to really wake up. I want you to wake up and get serious about yourself, your family, your friends, your county, your city, your state, and the nation, because things are about to get hot. And you don't need to be surprised. You don't want to be surprised. You want to be ready, or at least getting ready. Okay? So I'm going to bring this to an end. I want to thank you all for tuning in. All my subscribers, I want to thank you. A lot of folks are not being notified when I come on, so I need you to probably resubscribe. I've had to when I go on, I got to find a way to undo this. They got my channel fixed to a kids channel. I never put my channel on a kids channel because I'm talking about guns. And so every time I go on, it has it for kids, right? And so it's limiting my reach. I had to do it today when I came on. I had to go look at my YouTube and saw it said for kids. I had to undo that and take the restrictions off of it. So just bear with me when I get this thing straight. I'll get it straight. Again, with that said, I want to thank you all for tuning in. You could be somewhere else, but you're here. Again, when you see this video, I need you to view it. I need you to share it. I need you to subscribe. And I need you to support. And everything's at the bottom of the screen. Okay? And my prayer for you all who always tune in, I want you healthy. I want you happy. I want you to find love. Okay? I want you to be successful. I want you to be prosperous in everything you do. I want you to have all the resources you need right now and for your next assignment. And I also want you to have unlimited money. That's my prayer for you. And I want you to know this. It is not how much you know, family. It's how much you care. Many people out here, they know a whole lot, but they don't care. Again, for evil to triumph, good men must remain silent. And don't get so caught up in these personalities. Don't be so caught up being a Biden. Don't be so caught up being a Trump. I'm an independent. Okay? You know, it's not about permanent enemies or permanent friends. It's about the resources. It's about the resources. It's about the resources. Okay? So again, I'm going to close it on that. I will see you soon. There's a Pat Talk going on Saturday at 7 o'clock. I should be there for that. I need you also to tune into Dr. Short's The Angry Black Man Book Club. I need you to tune into Let's Talk 2 with Brother Q. I need you to tune in on Saturday for my girl, Sister Sean Speaks on 95.1 Sankofa Radio. Also, Chef C on their next broadcast, Bloodlines. Okay. We are expanding, we are growing. And we're looking at media, we're looking at this whole social media piece from a whole different perspective. We ain't your regular talking heads. We're not that. We are on the cuff. We're edgy. We're a little bit more edgy than everybody else, and that's on purpose. We don't have a script. We're trying to warn you what's going on. So with that said, tune in. Looking forward to seeing you again. And again, always remember, it's not how much you know, family. It's how much you care. And there is a lone wolf in you. And it's my job to bring them out. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. I'm out of here.